everyone, before we get started, I gotta let you know that I accidentally filmed almost the entire video slightly out of focus. I don't have time to refilm it, so hopefully it's just not gonna be, hopefully it's not too distracting. Alright, so enjoy the video. Wait a minute. Great. The adventure hook is a small but essential part of your DM toolbox. Like the hook at the end of a fishing line, an adventure hook catches your PCs. It catches your PCs and reels them into the adventure. You're already familiar with what an adventure hook looks like in practice. There's a treasure in the old fort. The mayor wants help with the nearby goblin encampment. Oh no, orcs are attacking the village. These are tried and true, off-the-shelf, generic adventure hooks. But I'm going to show you how to build a better adventure hook. A superior hook that's irresistible and adds to the story that comes from your game. A hook made of custom alloys with added pincers at the end. And you know, I've never been fishing, but the point remains. The value of an adventure hook is obvious. If your PCs never get to your adventure, then all the prep you did is worthless. The adventure hook is how you get them there. It's the scene that takes the PCs from whatever they were doing before and gets them all mixed up in the adventure scenario that you've put together. It also gives the PCs their reason for starting the adventure. Now, you aren't always going to need an adventure hook to do all that. In a more player-driven game, say a West Marches style game or a hex crawl, the players are choosing where to go next. You've already dotted the landscape full of interesting things like a AAA video game trying to pad out their gameplay hours. The players, all they have to do is decide what they like and choose to go there. You pull up the prep you've already done, or you prep something while they're on the way there. But most DMs run a game structured more like Star Trek than Skyrim, where you've got to get your PCs to move from the last adventure to the next one, but the only thing you have prepared is the one adventure you've been working on, so you've got to get them to go there. Or possibly you are running one of those player-driven games, but you want the PCs to pause what they're doing and check out this side adventure you put together. That's when you'll need a good hook. So what makes a good hook? A good hook is a scene that motivates your PCs towards a goal that intersects with the adventure. And a great hook is one that does all of that in a way that's tailor-fitted to the party. So let's go over each of those elements piece by piece, starting with the most important factor, motivation. A great hook wants to prey on the motives of your PCs to drive them to action. Now, I know we all know we're here to play D&D, and the players know that the DM has probably only got this one adventure prepared, so we should probably do that. But this is still a role-playing game, and one of the chief joys of an RPG, the role-playing part, is making choices in character. So we want to give our players the opportunity to do that. That's going to make it feel better to play, and it's going to add verisimilitude to the story that emerges as we play the game. Take a close look at the generic brand adventure hooks, and you'll find that they're all variations on the same three themes. There's treasure over yonder, someone is in trouble, and I will pay you to do this. This is because a pre-published adventure doesn't know what makes your PCs tick. They can't, obviously, so they have to rely on the same two motivations that every adventurer in D&D is assumed to have: to be heroes and to get loot. Now, there's nothing wrong with appealing to these motivations, mind you, but you do know what makes your PCs tick, so you can do better. All of your player characters have things that are important to them, things they want to do or find, people or places they want to get to or protect. These are their motives. Now, some of them are things that the players have made up themselves in their backgrounds, but lots of these things are also found inside the classes, backgrounds, and races that come with the game. It's your job to find these motives and exploit them. If you have a town fair that your adventure takes place in, and you've got a PC that can't say no to an archery contest, put an archery contest in the town fair. If you've got a rogue who really wants to start a thieves guild and a haunted house with some treasure inside, maybe part of that treasure is the deed to the house itself, which is perfectly positioned to headquarter a thieves guild. Little changes like this make all the difference. It's so much more rewarding to slay a manticore because the town bard is going to write a song for your fame-hungry barbarian than it is to slay a manticore because the mayor of Spoontown gave you a bag of gold to do it. A great hook also gives a clear goal. If your PCs are driven to action by the hook's motive, then the hook's goal is what directs that action toward the adventure. It also gives your PCs an idea of what they're going to be doing. Meet up with an old friend, find an ancient heirloom, rescue the kidnapped blacksmith. Now, importantly, the hook's goal does not need to be the same as the adventure's goal. The hook just needs to get you to the adventure, and the adventure can take it from there. If your adventure is about a citywide conspiracy, then all your hook needs to do is get your adventurers knee-deep in the conspiracy. Maybe they have to go get their deed to the house that they just got certified, but when they show up at the notary is missing, and following the clues leads them deeper into the tangled web of the conspiracy. Finally, a great hook is a scene. It's something you put in front of your players to play out at the table. Now, I know that might sound obvious, but by thinking of our hooks as scenes, we force ourselves to be specific about how we're going to show our players the motives and goals of our hooks. If you've got wights in your adventure and a PC cleric that hates the undead, you have to figure out a way to tell the cleric there are undead out there just waiting to be destroyed. Maybe you put together a caravan filled with silvered weapons and nervous-looking villagers. They tell the PCs that they're on their way to a neighboring town to help with their problem with the undead. Sometimes the first scene of your adventure is the scene of your hook, more or less. Almost like the adventure is happening to your PCs. They don't get a say in the matter. The classic example being someone tries to kidnap the party or assassinate them. Now these are very fun to do, but you want to make sure that you still include a goal and you still prey on some motives of the PCs so that they'll keep playing past the initial scene of the adventure. They're unlikely to stick around if you're not appealing to their motives. If you've got PCs who like to explore ancient ruins and uncover old secrets, they're unlikely to care about a political conspiracy revealed by your assassination attempt. That is, unless you can somehow show in the first scene that the political conspiracy involves an ancient mysterious artifact. Okay, before we move on, I want to have a quick side note with you first. Be careful of rumors. Rumors make weak hooks, generally. Your PCs are unlikely to go explore a nearby spooky castle just because they heard on the street that there's a spooky castle nearby. I mean, it's D&D, there are spooky castles everywhere. But rumors are better suited towards hex crawls and West Marches style campaigns where they just add more markers on the map for the PCs to get to at their leisure. If you do want to use rumor as an adventure hook, use several rumors that together combine all the elements we've been talking to up to this point. They first hear about the spooky castle, but then they hear that its library is haunted by 7 dead wizards. And then they hear that very same library has a spell book that contains the spell Wish. Once they've got all of that, they know exactly where they're going next. Make sense? Good. And that should be everything you need to create great adventure hooks from scratch. And if you're working with a pre-made adventure, you can apply the same principles to change that adventure up and add some color to the brown paper grab bag of options that normally come with one of those. But before I go, I do have to admit something to you. I've kind of been keeping a secret from you. A sort of adventure hook cheat code. You see, when I told you earlier that we want to appeal to a player character's motivations to make the game feel good, really all we need to do is appeal to a player's motivations. When you think about it, appealing to a PC's motivation is really appealing to the player's motivation to play a motivated character. But if they want to play our adventure more, they're going to find some excuse. They'll invent a motivation to get their character to go on that adventure. Oh yes, I, Jeremiah Smiteman, destroyer of evil, do think we should go to Go-Kart Island. There could be some evil there, you never know. Alright, hopefully I've stuffed your Dungeon Master tackle box full of laser-guided bait and carbon fiber fishing line. You all go craft those superior adventure hooks, and I'll go find a metaphor I have more experience with. See you next time.
No.